So let's close the loop with our React application. And what I've done, this is stuff we've done many times before, is the ability to create a user. So we've got this create user method, and what we're going to end up doing here is that we're going to use the value on our state. We've got an input field where we are getting our name. Let's actually do this from our state. On change, we're setting the state. So it should be happening here. And when I go to create, I'm actually attempting to make a post request, and I could see if I scroll down here, I'm passing the data. Let's just fix something here. We've got our create user. We're posting this state name. And I noticed something was wrong here. The value is the name, not the name. So now I could see if I go back here and I refresh, if I was to try to add Mo here, and let's just fix this again. So we're getting our name from the state on the change, and I've got this mixed up as well too. This is the target.value. So now at least I could type in here. And if I click create, I'll see that the data is going to the back end, but I don't have a path for this, right? So I end up getting a 404, which is an error code not found. So let's take advantage of our the code that we ended up writing before, which is the create user method, which gives us a user. And I'm going to go up to my server, and I'm going to add a route. So I'm going to copy and paste a little bit here. This is going to be a post route. And again, the verb is post because we are creating something on the server. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to do db create user. And I'm going to be optimistic here that I've got this request.body, which is going to be my code that's coming up here, which is going to be this payload. It's not going to quite work. If I go over here, let's refresh this, and I do create, I'll get a message, and if I look at what that message is, it's going to say, hey, look, you've got a problem. I can't set this property of undefined. So one of the things that's happening here is I don't have a request.body. I'm attempting to have my DB create the user. Let's also get rid of this code. We don't need to keep on adding a user every time here. So the issue here is that I really have to set up my parsing. And this was something that we had to do manually with our HTTP. But the problem is that when data comes over in a form, it ends up coming over in chunks. Express makes this really easy for us. With Express, I can actually do something. I could say, Express, I want you to use, and what I want you to use is express.json. And we'll talk about what this is in a little bit, but let's just take a look and see what this ends up buying us here. So now we've got these users, and I could go over here, and I could see that I could start adding users, right? They're getting added to my file. So what this ends up doing is this basically listens for the data that's coming in there. It's listening for the request, and by the time I make it down here, I'll actually have this request.body filled in. Again, just so you could see this, if I comment out this line, well, let's keep this line for a moment. I'm just going to do a console.log of request.body. Again, this is happening on the server, and I'm going to refresh this, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my server. Let's actually put something in here so we'll have something. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my server code, and I'll see I get that data. If I decided to go over here and modify this so that I'm not using this, and I go back and I try to run this, what I'll find is that I get undefined. So what this is doing, and we'll talk about how it's doing it, but what this is doing is this basically is listening for a request, seeing if there's a request.body. If there is, it's going to wait for it to finish, and it's going to end up parsing it as JSON data. So this will end up closing the loop, but we'll talk a little bit more about why we had to set things up this way.